Yes, the Buffalo Bills can beat the Kansas City Chiefs. Yes, the Buffalo Bills can beat the Baltimore Ravens, but they have to make the playoffs first. They have to make the playoffs first, and the game cannot go into overtime because Josh Allen Hoffey is 0-6 in overtime games. I'm just tough.
I don't know that they could beat that Ravens defense. That Ravens defense is legit. And I know the Chiefs have a real good defense, but I mean, I don't want to fuck around with that Ravens defense by any means.
Yeah, there are probably a couple defenses that I don't want to play. Steelers, Browns, and Ravens all in the AFC North. So that is tough. Very, very tough. All right, guys. So moving on to the next way or no way here. The Denver Broncos. What? Where did they come from? They have won 5 games in a row with wins over the Packers, which is a trending team up. Do not sleep on the Packers whatsoever. Then they beat the Chiefs, Buffalo Bills, Vikings, and last night they beat the Browns. They're currently 9th in the playoff hunt. So, guys, way or no way, can the Denver Broncos make a playoff push? The AFC is a very, very loaded division, guys. This division, at any point in time, if you can say the Texans are going to make the playoffs, I'd like, okay, sure. Then you say, oh, the Colts are going to make the playoffs. Sure. How about the Patriots? Well, no, because they're just bad. The Jets? Well, no, because they're just bad. But way or no way, are the Broncos going to make the playoffs? Sorry, Broncos fans, this is a no way.
Oh, come on.
This is a no way, because look at their schedule moving forward. They have a playoff matchup, possibly preview, when they travel down to Houston to take on the Texans. That is a loss. Then they play the Chargers at LA. They could probably beat the Chargers, but we don't know what Chargers team is going to show up. But then they play the Detroit Lions. Then they play the Patriots on Christmas Eve. The Patriots are going to pull that one out. And then they play the Chargers versus Raiders again. The Broncos' schedule is not very favorable in their opinion. In my opinion, I should say. So I'm going to say no way that the Denver Broncos are a playoff team. They'll be in the hunt until week 18, until they travel to Vegas and the Raiders whoop that ass, but they are not a playoff team. Hoffy, you seem to have a lot of words over there for some Bronco lover. Yeah, riding the ponies. Are the Broncos a playoff team?
34% chance to make the playoffs, but I mean, I think that this week is going to be a huge matchup. This week they play against, like you said, the Texans. And then they do, the Chargers, I think they win that game, and then they have the Lions. I think if they can beat either the Texans or the Lions, so if they win one of those 2 games, they could potentially win their other 4, the Chargers twice. The Patriots should be an easy, Patriots are the first team to ever lose, 2 games in a row where they give up no more than 10 points. So they're a joke. And I think they could beat the Raiders because the Raiders by then are going to be out and they'll have nothing really to play for. So I think if the Broncos can either beat the Texans or the Lions, that they significantly increase their chances. And yes, they will make the playoffs if they can win one of those 2 games, because I think they'll win out, those remaining 4.
So you are telling me that this week's game versus the Houston Texans is a must-win game for the?
I would say it's a must-win because this game is going to be, this game is an easier game it's not an easy game by any means, but this is a more favorable matchup for them than I think going into Detroit and playing the Lions. But the Lions, they got beat by Green Bay. I mean, they lost to Seattle at home. So, it is doable. So, I mean, heck, if they can squeeze out both of those games, and that gives them the opportunity to maybe lose to the Chargers once or the Raiders in that last week. But I think the Broncos could definitely make the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I don't see the Broncos sweeping the Chargers because for whatever reason, the Broncos cannot sweep anybody in the AFC West as of late. I mean, it could be because they're bad or just because the AFC West is actually that balanced, right? Just because if we look at the me as a Chiefs fan, last night I was watching that Raiders game, right? And the first half, I'm like, man, we are going to lose this freaking game. The Broncos are beating the Browns. I mean, there could have been a point where The Broncos were a half a game behind the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC West standings because they had the head-to-head win, and then they would have 6 wins, and then the Chiefs would have had 7 wins. But unfortunately, guys, the Broncos are a team that got hot too early, right? Maybe they got hot a little too early. Yes, they've won 5 in a row. They were 5 big wins, but there is a letdown coming in in Denver. There is a letdown coming, whether it's to the Texans, whether it's to the Chargers, whether it's to the Lions. 3 road games, they're going to get tested, all 3 of those games. There's going to be a letdown coming, and then the world's going to be collapsing down because there's a huge Broncos fan in our chat all the time. Her name is Hannah Bear, and she's like, screw those Broncos, they suck, yada, yada, yada. And now all of a sudden they won 5 in a row and the bandwagon's back open, right? People are going to start jumping off those bandwagons really, really quick here. David says, dude, I'm looking for the man-hour psych help. Listen, man. David, as a Chargers fan, it's probably time for you guys just to find a new team. Like at this point, you need to switch over to like iPhone and root for the Raiders. Because
I was watching that game last night and I was thinking of David the whole time and how unfortunate. I mean, do you think this is the last year with Staley as a coach?
If it's not, something is wrong in like LA. Like they're just happy at being mediocre, like at this point. Because I believe
they have a great team on paper.
Yeah, and they still have Mike Williams, which is injured, right? Which he can't stay healthy for whatever reason, but when like he comes back next year, they do have a very dangerous team on paper. Like I don't understand, but Hoffy, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe I heard on the broadcast that the Chargers were the only team to lose 12 straight games in 3-point games or less since 2020.
I think, yeah, you were correct.